welcome to part one of a two-part series that's all about creating content that compels and converts. Here is what I want you to think about as a mantra as we go through this part and as you are creating content that converts. It is important for you to be clear, right? To be confident so that you can share courageously. You have information that people need in order to live their lives, live their best lives, do their best work, build their best businesses. And it's important for you to be clear about the value that you bring so that you can be confident in the transformation that happens when you do that. You share that value, and then you can be courageous about sharing the value everywhere. And we're talking specifically about sharing value through content, right? And so we have an anchor text. The anchor text that I'd like for you to think about is from Galatians 6:4. And as I always say, I'm going to share with you a Bible verse or scripture passage that I think is informative or instructive as we think about building kingdom class businesses in addition to our own salvation and being bearers of the gospel. So here is the scripture reference that's going to anchor us. Let each person examine their own work, and then they can take pride in themselves alone and not compare themselves with someone else. So I would like for you to really think about your own work, right? And your work is this work that you've been called to do and how you can share. We talked about, right? Just talked about how you can be clear and how you can be confident and share that work courageously, do that work courageously, ask for the sale, ask people to be a part of your list, ask people to be a part of your community, or share the opportunity to be a part of it, because you know that what you've been given can transform lives. So now I like to start off tonight's program with definitions, because I think it's important to understand the words that make up what we are doing here. And then we're going to go through 10 characteristics of content that is compelling and that converts. Now, as we go through tonight's session, I want you to think about the client avatar that we've all been working on over the past 2 weeks, and think about the characteristics with that person in mind, right? So I want you to take notes and think about the characteristics with that person in mind. So first is compelling, right? So this is about creating content that is compelling and that converts. So first word is compelling. What does it mean to be compelling? To evoke interest, attention, admiration in a powerfully irresistible way. So when you are creating content, I want you to think at the start, what makes this content interesting? Why is this content worthy of the attention that I want someone to pay it? Why should my busy avatar pay attention to what I am about to share, right? Admiration is a part of the definition, and you can think about admiration, but I really want you to think about interest, capturing the interest and the attention in a way that becomes irresistible. The irresistibility shows up in people wanting to consume what it is that you have. So your content is compelling when you focus on interest and attention, from visual aspects to the words, to the content, to the title. I want you to pay attention to that. Now let's talk about converting, because a lot of times people can create things that are compelling, they're interesting, but they don't lead anywhere, right? So what we want to do with our content is to cause, right, C-A-U-S-E, a change. So how does your content cause a change in form, character, or function, how people are doing something, how people are seeing something, so that they can then listen to what the next step is? So you want to think about causing a change after you have captured the interest or the attention of the reader or the listener, and the reader and the listener would be your ideal client. This is important in the beginning because if you are thoughtful about creating content. Now, I also want to back up. The content that I'm talking about in particular here would be the content we're going to use as a lead generator, but this is also any content, the booklets that you write or the tiny books, the mini books, the long books, the blog posts, the articles, anything that you're writing. I want you to think about why or how is this compelling, to who is it compelling, and how is it going to cause a change. And so here we want to talk about creating content. This is what we do at Faith Focus Flow, that attracts your ideal client, right? And inspires them to take immediate action. So there is a change that is caused that inspires people to do something. And that doing something I've written here is, it can be to download, to share, or to purchase, right? So you want them to do what you have suggested they do next, so that people get in a habit of listening to your prompts, following those prompts, and getting a great result. So the prompt is not always to buy, but it is to take a next step, and that next step proves to be beneficial.